You know those days, right? Where you're just sprinting from one thing to the next, your calendar is totally packed, but at the end of it all, you look back and think, what did I actually get done? It feels like you've been busy, for sure, but were you productive? Well, let's figure out that difference, and more importantly, how to fix it.
Yeah, that feeling, that's what we call the busyness trap. You know the one, your to-do list just keeps growing, you're always just reacting to emails and pings, and the whole day just becomes this blur of activity. But here's the thing, activity is not the same as accomplishment. So the big question is, how do we actually break that cycle?
Okay, this image just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? On one side, you've got busy. It's just a storm of stuff. Endless emails, meetings, stacked on top of meetings. Just a flurry of tasks that don't really go anywhere. But then on the other side, you see productive. It's like one clean arrow hitting a target. It's all about value, not volume. And that's the main idea we've got to get our heads around. Just doing things isn't the same as getting things done. So all of this leads to what people call the productivity paradox. It's this weird feeling, right? We're all working more than ever before, but it feels like we're achieving less. So what's going on? Well, the answer is kind of hiding in plain sight. And here's the secret. It's not about working harder. It's definitely not about cramming more hours into the day. The real secret is understanding that the world is, well, fundamentally unbalanced, especially when it comes to our work. The effort we put in and the results we get out are almost never a one-to-one match. Okay, so how do we make sense of this imbalance? Well, it all starts with a concept you've probably heard of before, the Pareto Principle. Most people know it as the 80-20 rule. And look, this isn't just some corporate buzzword. It's literally the key that unlocks this whole productivity puzzle.
Now, let's be clear, this isn't some strict unbreakable law of physics or anything, but it is a shockingly consistent observation about how things tend to work. Put simply, it means that a tiny fraction of your efforts, we're talking like 20%, is responsible for the huge majority of your results. This tells us something huge. Not all work is created equal. Not even close. Some tasks are just way, way more valuable than others. And this visual right here shows it perfectly. Look at that. That tiny little 20% slice of causes is generating that massive 80% chunk of results. That's the powerful imbalance we're talking about, and we can actually use it to our advantage. The key to unlocking some serious productivity is hiding right there, inside that small handful of things. And what's wild is that once you start looking for this pattern, you see it everywhere. Seriously. In business, something like 80% of sales will come from just 20% of the customers. In your own job, I bet 80% of your actual meaningful progress comes from just 20% of your tasks. Heck, even in software, most of the bugs are usually found in a tiny piece of the code. The pattern is it's undeniable.
Okay, so just understanding the 80-20 rule is a huge step forward. It's a real game changer. But what if we could take that powerful 20% and really put it on steroids? To do that, we need to add one more crucial piece to the puzzle.
And that missing piece is something called deep work, a concept made famous by the author Cal Newport. Just think for a second about the hardest, most valuable thing you do. You know, the kind of work that demands every ounce of your focus, with zero interruptions. That's deep work. It's not about clearing your inbox. It's about creating something new, solving a really tough problem. You know, the stuff that actually moves the needle. So, what happens when we combine these two powerhouse ideas? What happens when you take the intense, laser-like focus of deep work and you aim it specifically at your most important 20% of tasks? Well, you get something pretty incredible. You get the deep 20-80 rule. And this, my friends, is the ultimate strategy for making a massive impact. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. On one side, you have the trivial many. That's the 80% of your day that gets eaten up by emails, random admin tasks, and meetings that could have been an email. But on the other side, that's where you find the vital few. This is your 20%. This is where your deep work belongs, the critical thinking, the big picture planning, the stuff that really, truly drives progress. Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory, right? But how do we actually do this? Let's get practical. How can you take the deep 20-80 rule and start applying it to your own life, like right now? It really boils down to a pretty simple 3-step plan. First up, analyze. You have to get brutally honest with yourself and figure out what your vital 20% really is. What are the activities that actually get you results? Second, focus. Once you know what that 20% is, you have to protect time for it like it's gold. Block it out on your calendar,
turn off all your notifications and go into full-on deep work mode. And finally, step 3, minimize. Everything else, that whole trivial 80%, you have to be absolutely ruthless. Delegate it, automate it, or just find the courage to get rid of it altogether. When it's all said and done, it comes down to this number, 20%. That is your magic number. It's time to stop obsessing over the 80% of noise and start focusing on the 20% of signal. I promise you, finding, protecting, and actually executing on just that small fraction of your work, it will change everything.
So I'm going to leave you with one final and really crucial question. Take a hard look at your own work, at your own life and your goals. What is your vital 20%? Seriously, think about it. Because finding the answer to that question, well, that's not just some little productivity hack. It's the key to unlocking what you're truly capable of.